Hi, I'm Shane from Astral Dragon Gaming, and this is my review of Return of the Obra Dinn. First of all, I'd like to point out a load of different bits and pieces about this game, and probably the first and most important thing is that this is a game done by Lucas Pope, and honestly, this is probably one of the most extraordinary games I've played in a long time. Now, for those of you that don't know, Lucas is the creator of Papers, Please, basically the game where you play the job of border security guard, and your basic job was to work in a totalitarian fascist country and let people in and out. Now, his new creation is basically an investigation into the deaths of the crew of the Obra Dinn, this ship in 1807 England. And all you've got is a book and a pocket watch to do the entire game. And I think in many respects that's probably the big hallmark of this game. It's extremely minimalistic. Right, let's start looking at the graphics for minimalistic. The reality is this game is done in a monochrome. It is done in what is called 1-bit presentation. That means 1 bit of colour. It has one highlight and black. That's it. So it's very, very straight and to the point. It's a very interesting design, as you can see as I'm switching through the different monitor designs. These are old sort of monitors like a Commodore 2084 and IBM's and all that. It was a really interesting sort of idea where the detail of this game is not so much in the graphics but in the actual texturing, which is the old sort of dot texturing, which I have not seen since the old Apple IIe, and that's a long time ago from where I stand. You can also change the screen so that you can get a sharper image, but it doesn't actually change how big or small the image is. It's as in you won't get a more high definition screen on a smaller monitor or a bigger monitor. It will just shrink to the size that matches it, which I loved and I found really fascinating. Now this game's done on the Unity engine, which is another massively fantastic thing to see, something that's so well designed and so well put together on something that's called that. The Unity is really the big hallmark for games now. At this point in time you'll start picking up the two main items, which is the book and the pocket watch. They're two items that allow for you to be able to identify and find out who died and who lived in this game. Now while we're running through this little cutscene, I'll talk about how this graphic style is so intriguing, because you even look at the little guy that took you over with the ship in the rowboat. His detailing and his body structure and how it all looks is really fascinating, and even the book as it moves and its shadow changes the dot sort of rendering as it goes, and the flipping through the book and everything. There are truly some amazing things. Incidentally, you cannot skip through the book the first time. You actually have to go all the way through the book before you can actually hop out of the book, which is a pain in the ass. But the upside is it tells you how to actually control the book right at the end of the book, which is quite useful and helpful. And this is the coup de grace, the pocket watch, which will help you. It gives you the translated remember death, and that's basically what you do. You're remembering each person's death on the Obra Dinn. And I loved how this graphical style really gave rise to how this game really looks and really feels as you're playing the game. So we'll move on and we'll start talking a bit about the sound and the music. Now the sound is a really interesting thing here in this game, because right here it's giving you a lot of the ambient sounds, like you're walking, you're moving around, climbing up things and climbing down things. And then on top of that, it's the music. The music will come in and come out. Now, we'll just listen to this for a bit.
Captain! Open the door! Kick it in. Lest we break it down and take more than those shells! You bastards may take exactly what I give you!
Now, this is the one thing that I love about this game, is these memory sequences, and it really gives you a sense of scale about this game. And there's little tiny tutorials as you go through the game, which is really helpful. But the one thing that I really love is this stop motion of an event in time that gives you a real definition on, you can see who everyone is and you can look at everyone. So you'll start to find out how to find people in the book and give them memories and ideas and different things. It's really a fantastic design and a fantastic overall presentation that really lends to this game. These little memories of what happened in history and whatnot, and it makes you get so involved with the storyline of each character in the game, which I loved the most. Now, that little tidbit at the front, you'll get most of the memory sequences. That's where you only time you'll really hear talking outside the guy that's down in the longboat that brought you over to the ship and whatnot, and they're clues to what actually happened in that memory. So when you piece all those clues together, you can start finding out who is done what and who was doing what. As you can tell, the guy that shot the gun is the captain, but you don't know who got shot, you don't know who was standing next to him. You know it was a Scot or an Irishman by the accent, and you don't know who the other guy with the dagger in his lips is. So all those cues are really great. And the other thing is the sound of the music and whatnot. The sound of the music gives you a real depth of where you are in the game and what's happening in the game. And I loved those little things. It's just an overall great picture that gives you a real definition about this game. So the first section of this game is basically very much a tutorial. You're going to go through all the memories and they're going to be unlocked quite quickly. And it's only 4 pages in the actual book. But one of the main things about this game is that you need to find out all 60 people that died on the Obra Dinn. You need to find out what happened to each of them, how they died, and what caused their death, what was the process of their death. Like, at this one, you can tell this guy, whoever he is, shooting a gun at someone, he got knifed. And you know this guy is the captain, so you know exactly who he is. So, bang. That's a fantastic thing because you can figure that out. But you need to find out not only the person's identity, but how they died as well. And that is where the tricky part of this game really starts to stack up. You can find out how most people died quite easily, but you will get to a point where you don't know how they died, or you don't know who they were, or what killed them, sort of thing. So all these sort of things mesh up on top of each other over time, and that's where the book really comes into the play. The book will tell you all this information. Like this guy, you have no idea who he is, but he just was coming around anyway. So it's really important to follow the book and follow all the bits and pieces in the book, because what will actually transpire is that you will start to find out different people on the book and their different positions on the ship, be they first mate and bosun, gunner, topmastman, all these other different positions, and then you get a map with linking memories of where these people were at different times during different stages in the book. And if you track them, you can start to find out what they actually are, what their actual jobs were, and then you can figure out what they were doing. Like now we come on to the death of whoever the guy that had the gun is. Now he had an axe, he was one of the ones that came straight in, and the captain's basically knifed him, so you know exactly who killed him. So you can go, okay, captain knifed by the captain, and go, yay, but who the hell is he? It's a really annoying thing about this game at some points. Now that little click noise, you'll be hanging out to listen to that, because that usually leads to a door that will allow you to get out of most things every time. And sometimes getting trapped in the memory and trying to figure out what you're doing is really difficult at times, but there's always a clue if you look hard enough. So it doesn't take much to do all the bits and pieces. As you can see, I stuffed up there. I was trying to figure out who it was and I couldn't figure it out. But in this little sequence you'll start to see all the different things. Now we'll move on to the third death, which is the guy that was sneaking around. Because of course the captain, being the captain, awesome man there he is, managed to get him. So let's have another little listen. So as you can see, Captain, being the ultimate warrior that he is, he still got stabbed in the side, but he still kept on going, took out the other guy. And again, I don't know who this guy is. And because he's blurry in the picture of all the crewmen, then I don't know who he is. So I can't give him a name yet. I love the overall sort of effect of it though. It really is quite interesting. So here you know the captain, you know what's happened all to that, and it just moves on from there. Now, as a little spoiler, at one point they get attacked by a kraken, and some of the squidgy crackling noises of how people get killed by that thing or whatnot, it is so great. I love that overall sound because it's very indicative of what you expect for a seafaring thing, but at the same time it comes as a very big surprise suddenly in this game, because you think, oh yeah, everyone died, but no, not everyone died. It suddenly becomes something much more mysterious, and you're trying to figure out the story that you're getting snippets, but you're not getting the overall picture, and that's really an interesting thing about this game, and I love how they did that with this thing. So hands off to Lucas, because it is a really overall fantastic game. Now we'll putter along and we'll have a look a bit more of the story, but once again we go back to the book, and whoever this guy is, he's clearly one of the seamen, and you know his fate. He got struck, but you can't use tail, leg or whip, so he got hit by a spear. You can't say he got spiked by creatures, because that makes no sense. So he got hit by a spear by the captain, and that's the only answer you've got. So there is a lot of leeway with trying to figure out these different things of how and why a person got killed and whatnot, and it leaves you with a lot of questions and a lot of second guessing yourself every time you're going through one event to the next. So it makes it very, very difficult. Now, as we go through this point, we'll come to the next part that really shows something very interesting, because every 3 people that you've properly identify and find their fates will be marked back down into the book. When you've managed to achieve that, that changes the entire scope of the game and allows you to move forward.
Your brother.
So now you know Abigail's the lady that's sitting in the bed,
Dead.
and you know what happened to the captain. Listen.
I'll be with you.
Here we go.
Soon, my love.
And
Please forgive me
yes, we're forgiving you. Now shut up and go.
for everything.
And he's dead. So there you go. The captain got shot. You can't do it right now. You got to complete the memory before you can do that. But you know exactly who everyone is from this point in time, because it's already been made clear. So this is Abigail. You don't know what her fate is, but you know exactly who the person is now. So now you can give a name. There is only one Abigail in the entire listing, but hold on, that name doesn't make sense. So now, if you go to this guy, this was Abigail's brother. You shot Abigail's brother. And now you have a clear, concise sort of structure of how to see how people died. Now there's one more memory that will happen that we'll finish off on, and this is really important part, because once you finish all this part, this is where you start to see the clear picture. This is what happened in the very end, not at the beginning, and you'll start to see a very different picture at this point in time. Poor old man. He was a young man, he fought well and got shot in the face by the captain. Oops. He got knifed, he got speared, lots of blood, and fade to black. Thank you, phone. Didn't need that. So now you can give a full fate to the captain. Suicide. And there is a lot of ways that a person can die. So all these different things can advance the story quite quickly, so you have to find very specific things to advance these stories, and that's what makes this a very interesting game. And I can wholeheartedly back it and say, yeah, you are going to enjoy this game a lot, and work on your Sherlockian sort of designs and try and find out who killed who and how they all died. Now this is the other thing that helps you to progress the story. Now we know who Abigail is, but it opens up a new memory, because you didn't know. There's a name. And now you start to get the story back of what happened with other people. Ooh, so now you know Abigail died by getting crushed. But now it's gone all Cthulhian and there's tentacles everywhere. So as you can see, the ship is being attacked by a kraken. And now you've got a whole list of different people that you thought were there and not there, and it just becomes very, very different. Here, you know, I can figure out that Martin is the guy that was talking to near Abigail from time. So that helps immensely. More tentacles, more people scared shitless. Guy trying to valiantly shoot a tentacle, but I can't identify him yet. I can't get there because that's actually ocean that's swapping over. There's a guy, I believe he's the helmsman if memory serves me right. Yep, he's standing near the helm, that would probably make sense. Yes. Finley Dalton. I have no idea how he died. I assume he got drowned or got crushed by a strange tentacle thing. So we don't know who that person is. But we don't know who that person is, but there is a clear picture of who that person is. So it's just this investigative sort of idea and moving forward. So now we're in a different chapter of the book. The Doom. So something bad happened at this point in time. So now you're going to, as you can see, it's tentacles, which never ends well for anyone. Now Abigail, we know, got crushed by rigging. Now that opens up the next part of this game, which is the most important part of the game. Identifying how people think. They will suddenly, instead of being written in words, will suddenly turn into full type text part of the book. And this gives you the overall picture. And as you can see, you can move forward. So I hope you've enjoyed our little saunter through the Obra Dinn, and I hope you've all enjoyed it. Please make sure you share, like and subscribe, and please come back for more great reviews about wonderful games. And I will see you next time. Shane, signing out.